least amount of judging we can do, the better off we are. Michael J. Fox. Welcome to the 10-Minute Sales Talk with Terry Cameron. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Today we're going to talk about pre-qualifying customers, how it's going to cost you sales and how it's going to cost you money and how it may cost you your career. But before we get started, I want you to hop on over to iTunes, give me that 5-star review, and please write a review. Send me an email to 10minutessalestalk@hot.rr.com, on my website at 10minutessalestalk.com, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Again, we want to talk about pre-qualifying customers. Recently, I was standing outside talking to a salesperson when a car started driving down the driveway. The salesperson looked at me and said, "Well, those people can't buy," and he turned around and walked away. I went back to grab him and I said, "Wait a minute, how can you tell that person cannot buy? I've been doing this for 30 years. You've only been doing it for 2 months. You have to tell me your secret." He said, "Well, just look at them." I said, "You can't even see them. They're in the car. But look what they're driving." I was amazed how he had already made his decision that that customer could not buy. I let him walk away, and then one of our brand new salespeople, been in the car business for 3 weeks, looked at me, I pointed at him and said, "Go get him." About 3.5 hours later, as they were driving away in a new car, I walked over to the other salesperson and I let him go. I wondered how many times he had done that already and how many sales it could have cost us. Just doesn't make sense. Just looking at somebody, that determines whether or not they can buy or not. You know, I wonder if the customers are doing the same thing to you. When they pull on the lot and they see you in that huddle, in that research and development crew, wonder what they're thinking. When you're walking up to them and you're flicking your cigarette away, chewing on gum with your mirrored sunglasses, wonder what they think about you. Are they wondering, I wonder if this girl can sell cars. I wonder if I found the right person. About the same time, we're wondering if they can buy or will buy or not. Let me tell you, that is the way to end your career quickly. Another story I could talk about happened, probably about, I'm going to guess 25, 26 years ago, when one of our seasoned salespeople, who's now retired, looked up and saw a customer coming in. It was his turn, so I didn't pay much attention to it. He looked at this customer, a kind of tall, scrawny-looking guy in overalls, and said, "Hey, I got a customer come in, you're going to have to pass me up." Heck, I was next, so I took it. And I really did believe that I was not getting the best end of this deal here. This guy was probably about 6'3" or 6'4", and he was interested in a Miata, a limited edition Miata. Well, back in those days, and I'm not sure if it's changed at all, but in those days, it didn't have a tilt steering wheel. There wasn't much room to move around in that car at all, and the only way he could get in there was by putting the top down. I humored him. We went on a test drive. We talked a lot. He was actually very intelligent. He spoke and acted different than the way he looked. After our discussions a little bit, he told me he apologized actually for coming to the dealership dressed as he was. He was an avid gardener and really liked working out in the yard, and he realized that the day was ending and he had not gotten his wife her birthday present yet. So it started to make sense a little bit. We got back to the dealership, and we were both smiling, laughing, and having a good time. And as we sat down to fill out the credit application, by the way, he said he'll take it when we pointed at MSRP. No negotiations whatsoever. I know what you're thinking. Most people that do that don't expect to be able to get approved in the first place. I started filling out the credit application, and when it got to the point of what he did for a living, now I already knew he was in the military. I asked him, "What do you do for Uncle Sam?" He says, "Well, I'm the 1st Cav Division commander." Now, if you're not familiar with the military or the Army, that means he was a 2-star general. I'm not going to say his name, but he went on to run for president. He dropped out because Ross Perot and him were taking the votes away from more qualified candidates, and he currently is a regular contributor on one of the major news networks when it comes to military matters. I could go on and on about stories like this. The point is, you can't judge a book by its cover. Now, I agree, when you're looking at that customer, you can guess right sometimes. You can look at him and say, that person cannot buy. And you'll be right sometimes. But if you're right sometimes, you're probably wrong sometimes also. So why even play that game, that guessing game? Why not give 100% of the people, 100% of the process, 100% of the time? Remember, it's a numbers game. The more you throw on the wall, the more that's going to stick. So give them all your best effort, even if they can't buy right now. If you treat them professionally and with dignity, they're going to come back and buy when they can. I'm not sure if you know this, but 95% of the people who buy a car will buy another car. And if you're the salesperson that treats them with respect, doesn't pre-qualify them, you've got a really good chance of them coming back. Not only that, all the referrals that can be gained by it. Qualifying customers by the way they look, by the way they talk, by the way they're dressed is not part of our job. Nowhere in the sales process does it talk about pre-qualifying a customer. And sales managers, how can you let somebody make those decisions for your dealership? I bet your dealer doesn't agree with that. Now, bad things happen to good people, so we can't qualify people based on that. Here's some of the questions that I hear that I consider pre-qualifying. How much do you owe on your car? Who are you financed with? What kind of rate do you have? How long ago did you buy it? Did you put any money down? And then the worst, the absolute worst one of all, what kind of credit do you have? What's your credit score? I had a furniture salesperson ask me that one time, and I responded with, well, I don't know, what's yours? Let me see your credit, and if it's better than mine, I'll buy the furniture. If not, I'm just going to talk to your general manager and explain to him why I didn't buy it. Well, if that doesn't bother you, you're in the wrong business. And if you're one of those salespeople that are doing that, get out. You're giving us all a bad name. The title of this episode was called The-Death-of-a-Salesman. And that's why I named it that. You're no longer a salesman when you're pre-qualifying customers, when you're prejudging customers, when you're making decisions that you're not qualified to make. If you've been doing this for any time at all, I'm sure you've sold cars to people that you looked at and just knew they couldn't buy a car. You knew they were buried. You knew they had bad credit. But because they didn't let you talk them out of buying the car, and you were kind of forced to go through that process, your management did a great job, your finance department did a great job, they bought the car. And if their experience wasn't up to par, chances are they're not coming back to buy another one from you. Pre-qualifying just kills everything. It kills all of everybody in our profession. It kills our reputation. It took years for us to get rid of the stigma that car salespeople are bad people. Professional salespeople are professional people. We don't pre-qualify customers. We don't treat customers bad because of something that may have happened to them in the past. Or we don't treat them bad because somebody else treated them bad at the previous dealership. Give me all those customers, the ones that you look at and talk to and determine they can't buy, and let me have them. I'll make a career out of it. Guys, pre-qualifying customers is the worst thing you can do. They came to buy the car. Your job is to help them buy the car. If they can't, let math be the determining factor, not you. So, I'm not sure if you can tell, but this one is kind of near and dear to my heart because I know it costs us money every single day. Stop pre-qualifying customers. One more time, guys, if you can hop over to iTunes and give me a 5-star review and maybe even write a comment or two, I sure would appreciate it. Until next week, remember, the sky's the limit. See you then.